camp trainings, so you'll probably see him at some of these meetings here coming forward. So part of the joy of our job is to do what we do. So Caleb's come to us today. It's just getting into town, so he's going to get settled in, and probably will be briefing you on Saturday evening at the next community meeting. So it's been pretty dry, as you've seen. We've started to see a little bit more of activity at Lone Fire. That's because of the lower roads humidity starting to see today. So as we were talking about on Monday. Good. Okay. The joys of live TV here. All right, we're good. So as we've been talking about really since last Saturday when we talked, for those of you that were at that public meeting, we're really getting into this trend this week, later this week, and all the way through the weekend of some really low humidities once again, and some increasing winds. And so what that's allowing the fire to do is to have more access to start to burn. So you're going to start to see more smoke, and I'll also talk more about specifics of that. But we're really kind of getting this pattern where not only are we getting really low humidities in the afternoon, but we're also not seeing those humidities come back up overnight. So the finer fuels, the grasses, the smaller pieces of tree, and things like that, aren't really able to kind of absorb moisture from the atmosphere to recover. So we're getting this period where our humidities are really, really low. Generally speaking, we want to see humidities above 50%. If you can notice, that third line down where it says AMRH recovery, that's the maximum humidity that we're expecting over the next several days. So teens and low 20s is about the best we're going to see for overnight humidity recoveries. We're going to see these afternoon humidities coming down into the single digits. So very, very dry air. Several days of it, unfortunately. And also to go with that, again, we're going to see those winds again increase, coming back up with some gusts, especially Saturday. Saturday is probably my biggest concern from a weather perspective. With some wind gusts probably in excess of 25 miles per hour. So we're going to be between 20 and 25 miles per hour from Friday all the way to Saturday and Sunday. And then by the middle of next week, it does look like the humidity will start to come back up. Still not seeing any really strong signal for good monsoon moisture yet, but certainly we'll continue to monitor that and provide updates as we go through the next several briefings in the meeting. So again, I'll be around for any questions. Just we're kind of coming into this period where weather's going to start to be a bit challenging for the crews, but obviously they're doing everything they can with what they've got out there. So with that, I'll turn over to Matt and to Brad, operations. Update you on that.
Hello again, I'm Matt Pelt, one of the operations chiefs. This is Brad, who's also one of the operations chiefs. There's a handful of us, and we kind of have different roles. Brad's role on this fire is kind of like what we would call the field ops. He's kind of the battle commander. He flies around a helicopter. He goes and he talks to the engines. He talks to the crews. We brought him because he's got some really real-time information. He can tell you what the crews are actually doing on the ground. We're not going to do a lap on that, but we're going to show you kind of specifically some of the areas of action, as it were, and hopefully address some of the things that you actually care about. So we're going to kind of guide him to some areas and kind of milk him for his knowledge and what he saw today. So let's first of all talk about today we're doing a burn. We started the burn the last couple of days. People saw some smoke up there, right? Make you nervous a little bit, probably, especially because we can't see. Well, the burn that we're doing is working really well. The weather that we got allowed us to kind of box in the fire a really good way and kind of do a really kind of controlled understory burn. So we're going to kind of do a zoomed in map. You got your laser. Let's start with kind of that corner in the last couple of days, Brad. You want to talk about where we started and kind of what we used to burn and kind of why we burned and what we gained out of that.
All right. So as you know, this fire progressed over the last week or so. This northern edge was one of our main concerns. The wind was driving it that way, the fuels were driving it that way. And that was one of our major concerns pushing into the McElvey area. So over the last couple of days, we've got we got our roads prepped. So basically for a burn, what we do is we find a line and we get it all prepped. So from this DP 30 here through 35 and around the corner, we prep all that line and remove some of the fuel so the burn. So once we put fire on the ground, it's not as intense near our line. So over the last week, we've been prepping these lines in anticipation of doing these burns to prevent the fire's northern progression up into the McElvey area. This was one of the most active pieces of our fire that we were worried about. So as the weather dried out, as the humidity's lowered, we wanted to start our burns. I know that sounds weird as the weather gets drier and hotter, we start burning. But if we burn too early when it's too moist and, precipitation and stuff, we don't get the fuel consumption that we want. So we call that a dirty burn where there's still fuel left over. We want it to be really clean along the line. So the last 2 days, we've started firing in this area here. So from VP 30 up to VP 35, this is that Kashuram pasture road. And then we came in here to the south fork of the Monroe Creek here. So yesterday, we burned this chunk from VP 35 or from 30 to 35 around the corner, kind of in that south fork of the Monroe Creek. As far as we could go, there's a place in there called Oscar's Vision. And we kind of hung it up in the confluence of the burns of the canyon there. So what that's done for us, it's slowed this fire progression. As this fire approaches where we burned, we're hoping that it's not gonna continue north. So burning lets us put a fire on the ground at our pace, on our terms, controlled, and remove the fuel. So then the main fire hits our line and theoretically goes out.
Is he gonna cross that line?
So in here, right here, we're feeling real comfortable on the Kashuram Pasture Road. And as we turn the corner, like I said, we've kind of hung our burn up in here. So this piece of fire here is still uncontrolled. We didn't burn over there just due to the terrain, the fuels. We weren't comfortable putting fire in or put firefighters in there to burn. So, but what it's done for us is it's taken 80% of that fire burn. So now we just got to deal with this little chunk right here as it approaches north, and we can concentrate more resources on a smaller fire front than a larger fire.
So what you're saying is we took away a lot of the energy from it. So if it does cross the line, it's gonna be easier to hammer, right?
Yep. So with our burns today and yesterday, we haven't had any issues with our fire crossing the line where we put fire down. In fact, little spots here and there, but we've been up and come up. So,
And we're doing burning from 30 around to the west too, right?
yep, correct. So this was yesterday's burn from 30 around the corner through 35. Today, we pulled some fire from 30 out to the west, up into the Monroe Meadows area. We've got about halfway there. We got a little bit more work to do in here before we can drag it into Monroe Meadows. But today we also did a little piece right in the meadows, kind of around the structures here, just to straighten this line out. There was a lot of spot fires, very dirty burn in here. So we just eliminated all those fuels right there to straighten that line out. All that went really well around the structures today, no issues with the structures. And then tomorrow we will continue to pull this fire from here into what we did this afternoon.
So does that help reduce our risk for the house in Monroe Meadows?
Yeah, absolutely. So now that we got a straight edge here, eliminated all those fuels, we can throw a bunch of resources in there and do what we call mopping it up. Just putting out all the hot spots, ensuring that we're not going to have any flare-ups or anything around the structure. So we're feeling real good in this Monroe Meadows area, as well as this Backley Ranch that's out east of that VP 30 area. So
Because that line kind of secures it on that road, and so growth is gonna be minimal to zero, right?
that's, unless we get some kind of, anything can happen. I can't promise you, but we feel real good about it.
So what about Manning?
Manning, down here in Manning,
Oh, you don't mind, okay. What about Manning? Is that better?
down in Manning, down in here, this fire stayed, it has stayed in its footprint basically since we've gotten here. So it's been sitting there about a week. We've mopped up around all the structures. Manning's looking really good. We were able to, where most of the structures are, right here in Manning, you can see we got some black line on the map right behind the structures. Black line means we're calling that contained. Basically, we feel comfortable enough where we can pull our people out of there and not keep an eye on it all the time and put them to other places on the fire. So Manning, reservoir area, Manning Meadows, that we're feeling really, really good about that area.
And we also have black line on that east side, right? It's a bunch there, we saw.
Yep, right here through, what we call Division Zulu in here. Yep, we've got crews working direct right on the fire's edge. And that chunk of line is contained. Feel real good about that. And those crews are going to continue to work down to the southwoods to the Manning Meadows area too. And you'll see over the coming days, tomorrow, some more black line in the map down here to the south.
And then some up in the northwest, up by Hunts Lake, kind of working towards Hunts Lake, same thing, right? More containment line where we've been able to put crews in and go direct.
Yeah, so down here, we ground it from the road in the Monroe Canyon, and we've had crews work all the way up to Hunts Lake, so it's secured. The fire's what we call secured, but now they're just grabbing some more depth inside here, mopping this up, and you'll see black line on the map of the next shift or two.
So what if my house is in Magawee? Where are you?
Okay. Well, like I said here, we still have this piece of fire here that is a concern. We've got a lot of fuels up heading into Magawee, but like I said, cutting this chunk off has let us concentrate our resources in this area. So for Magawee, we've got all the structure protection done in there. So we've got sprinklers, pumps, hose lines around the houses, everything done to where we feel comfortable accepting fire in those houses that will be able to protect them. So that is completed. Today, now that we've got this piece done, we're putting a piece of what we call indirect line in, and we're just cutting dozer line and using crews to pull out of here, out of this South Creek to Monroe. And we're putting indirect line right out here, and we're tying it into the kind of that clearing and that field above Magawee. So that is now going to be our primary line. We hope, the fire stays put for a day or two to allow us to do that. That will now be our primary line, and we will fire off that line just like we did in this area. So this will now be our primary line with, the second option of falling back to our structure protection that we already have in place. So we kind of have a primary and a contingency plan in here with all the structure protection in there. So we're hoping to just completely steer it around Magawee.
So like I said the other day, we kind of 4 layers of plans: primary, an auxiliary, a contingency, and an emergency plan. We're not even to that secondary. Our primary plan is working pretty well. We're pretty confident with that. We don't plan on releasing any resources. We just plan on keeping the same amount that we have for now, because we're getting good success. We're getting good traction. There are a lot of other areas around the fire that we haven't addressed yet. Those are a little bit more benign in fire behavior, and they're not pointed at things like private property. They're not growing a lot. So we're focusing all of our energy and resources at the hot spots, and then we'll just start slowly working our way around. And as the days go by, you'll see more of that black, and then that's represented in a percentage of containment based on how much black line there is compared to how much red line. And it's going to be a while before we get to 100%. But what a lot of us care about here is that it doesn't go where we don't want it to. All right. And that's our main goal, is to try to keep it where we want it to. And so that's where our main focus is. We'll be happy to answer some questions afterwards, both in this format and after, if you want to get more technical and in the weeds, we'd love to talk that. But with that, we're going to stop and head over to the sheriff.
Well, y'all know I'm not the sheriff. I'm emergency manager, Bill Dobbs. But I'm sorry, you are got a promotion. Anyway, just wanted to give you a heads up on a few things we've been working on. We've been working with the incident management team, liaisons, PIOs, to put together some video of your cabins and things in Manning Meadows and in Monroe Meadows. We were able to still one of their drone teams for a little bit to go make some videos for us. And so we're putting that stuff together. It might be a day or two before we have that ready to go out. But what we'll do is we've got our GIS folks working with each other, there's runners, and they're putting this together so we can take whoever pays the taxes on the property is who I will contact. To send that video to. They can send the video to anybody else they want. But that's who we will send the video to, is whoever is on the taxes for that property. Because that's what our county does. So just a heads up on that. I did have a few questions on the code red. I'm still working on that, because I've got to go through the same process with that, with our county assessor, to find out what the exact zip codes, because it sounds like that's our problem with code red up there, is the zip codes for the properties. And so we don't know exactly what they've listed in that, so I've got to get with them and find out. And other than that, that's all I really had. If there's any questions after this, hit me up. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. So I'll turn this over. Thanks.
I'm Vance Mumford with Utah Division of Wildlife, District Biologist. Monroe is one of my favorite mountains. Loved in here a long time and I've worked up there. We appreciate all the work on the fire. There's going to be a lot of direct and indirect impacts on our wildlife up there. We look forward to, after the fire, working closely with our land management agencies on rehabilitation, make this turn it into the best things that we possibly can with reseeding and different things. We look forward to that. We've had a lot of concerns, and we appreciate our hunters who have upcoming hunts, some of which have waited 20 years or plus to draw out on certain big blowout permits and that. We appreciate their uncertainty and concerns. Our archery hunt starts September 16th. That's not very far away. And access to the mountain, as you know, and it's for good reason, has been shut down to protect everybody, workers and recreation users. We just don't know what the future holds as far as what areas on the mountain are going to be open to access when the hunts start. That's all. A lot of questions about refunds on permits that people have drawn out on or purchased. I can refer you to our website for details on surrendering permits, but pretty much hunters need to surrender their permits 30 days prior to the beginning of their hunt in order to get their bonus points reinstated and waiting periods waived. And so just be cognizant of that. I'm in close contact with our director's office. I'll be talking to them on Monday and give them an update, see where we're at with the closures, see what the fire's doing, and then they'll consult on any decisions if there's going to be any special considerations on the permits. And so I know I don't have any really good solid answers for you as far as that goes, but know that we're paying close attention and that as reactive as we can, helping people solve the situation. So can I answer any questions now, or is that something to place?
Let's do it at the end.
The end. Okay, gotcha. So we'll go ahead and turn the time. Awesome.
Well, thanks you guys for coming and sticking with us through this whole event. I know it's hard, but it's an exciting time to hear the team start talking about maybe corners. That's big. The first chunk of this fire, there was a lot of effort in just getting plans in place, figuring out where cabins were, where treatments were with the Forest Service had going, and what the state had done on your guys' property. And I think we're to the point now where we're starting to be able to get aggressive and make some good progress on this fire and start seeing some black on the map. The PIO guy gave me a really good analogy, and I'm going to try and use it. So it's not my words, but it's kind of like a baker baking bread. You need all these ingredients to come together. And then I can't remember how she's going to finish it, but we've got the ingredients now. We've got the resources that we need. We've got the staff on the hill. We've got the plans in place. And so as this team starts talking about being able to burn some of these canyons and get some black on the map, that is a big step. That is a lot of progress. It's still a long time to go. We definitely have not, put this thing out by no means. There's still going to be days that are stressful, but I'm excited to start seeing progress. And so I just want to let you guys know that we're in it with you. And if there's anything we can do, please reach out to us and let us get the information that you need. I'll go ahead and turn the time over to Jason.
If you back it up to that, other than that for just a second first, again. We pointer on this, yeah. All right, wait, we're getting, I'm supposed to sound hands. So, I'm Jason Clayton, I'm with the District National Forest, your local district ranger here in the Richfield District. Gosh, we're about 10 days into this. Started, the Sunday, 10 days ago. Had our local Central Utah Top 3 team here for just a couple of days, and then we had the complex team come in on that Wednesday, and now today's day number 8 for them. Accomplished a ton of work up here. It's with just everything going on up there. Gosh, we started at just 900 firefighters at the time of this incident. With those 900 firefighters comes several helicopters, engines, a variety of different pieces of equipment from fellow butchers and skidders, graders, and dozers. Everything that they bring with them. And then we've heard a lot about all of the hose lays, the pumps, the sprinklers, everything that they've done in and around the structures. Then within our Monroe areas, there's just a lot of people, a lot of equipment, a lot of infrastructure, helicopters, just a lot of moving pieces and parts. And so for that, and for everybody's safety, if we just go on to the next one, we felt like we really needed to put in a closure order. Put into effect a closure area. That allows the firefighters to be able to get in and do their work safely. And then it also doesn't allow the public to be able to get in and around fire and other people where there's a lot of hazards, danger. Still a lot of heat out there, a lot of smoke out there. And we're going to continue to be busy with this for a while. This team here is with us now. We'll be here with us for just a little under another week, another 6 days. And then I anticipate that we're going to be ordering in another complex incident management team to replace that. It could potentially be here for an additional 2 weeks. So we've heard a few times now, we're going to be here for a while. Still a lot of work to do to win this for the long run, unless we get some serious monsoon moisture. And so Tyler Monroe, our forest fire management officer, the other day said, "You may get tired of us. Hopefully not. Be patient with us. We are going to probably have another team come in. A lot of work to do. And then once we get to fire and a lot more black around the fire, then we're going to enter into that repair phase, some rehab phase, clearing snags along the roads, getting everything cleaned up. So just, I want to emphasize, there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. And that's before we're going to get completed. And so for now, we've got a closure in place. Basically on the south end here, that is going up the Drake Creek Canyon directly east of the There's going to drive up the Drake Creek Canyon, get up to the top, and then there's a couple trail systems that put you over on the east side of the Monroe. So everything south, outside of the house park, that's open. You can go up Drake Creek Canyon, you can get to the top, you can turn south and come out Langdon area, Kingston, or Shea Country, that's south. So that's all open. For now, everything to the north, unfortunately, is closed. When we put this together, remember this fire was growing really rapid in both directions, north and south. We just weren't sure exactly where this thing was going to end up. So for everybody's safety, we went big with our closure, And as we start to get more black on the map, as we start to get into the repair phase, as we're able to start getting a lot of that snagging done along the roads, and we're able to start retrieving a lot of those hose lays and equipment and sprinklers and all the pumpkins. You know, at that time, we'll be able to reevaluate and where it's appropriate, shrink this as best as we can. In the end, I also anticipated that at some point there, even after we get done shrinking it, the black area, the areas that actually burn, we're gonna want to keep those close for a while. Those trees are super weak. They're falling over every day. They'll continue to fall over. And the last thing we want is for people to be roaming out through the woods this fall hunting. Trust me, that's not an area where you're gonna want to be. And so let's give it the winter. It's just gonna dip the total. A lot of those trees are gonna fall over on their own here pretty short, pretty soon. Of course, they're gonna continue to fall over for the next 10 to 15 years, but a lot of them are gonna fall over here pretty soon through the winter months. A little bit of wind on them. And then it'll be a lot safer for folks to be able to get in there next spring. So I just wanted to be transparent with that, want to be open with that, just so folks, you know, can have an idea of what to expect. And then you can make your plans accordingly. But as we can, we're gonna shrink that. Trust me, you know, I live here in this area as well. I like to recreate on the mountain. I've got folks in my family that have general season deer tags. And so I recognize all of us, you know, have a vested interest in this area. You want to be able to see it open as quickly as it can be. I'm right there with you. And you know, everybody's safety is the utmost importance. So we've got to just make sure we're taking care of firefighters and the public first. The other thing I'll just mention is 24th of July, we've got a lot of recreation going on this week. You know, we've got folks that know the back doors into this. If there's a will, there's a way. And unfortunately, we've been finding people in areas where they shouldn't be. And so I would just ask for your support and for your help. Let's honor this closure for everybody's safety. If you hear of people wanting to go in there, help us educate them, share with them. So this is not where we want you to go for it now. And we'll get it shown as quickly as we can. So with that, I'll be here afterwards. Please catch up with me with your questions. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. The second man of the Dixon Team 3. And yeah, when you think about it, I remember getting a notice that this was 50 acres when it started. 50 acres, and it was like 200. All right. And then the next thing, it blew up. And it just kept going. So we're running about 10,000 acres now. And it wasn't that long. What you've got is Mother Nature, as much as we want to think that we're in charge of everything. Mother Nature is really in charge. Those fuels are super dry. It's been dry. We haven't had a lot of moisture. And so the winters have been fair, but not outstanding. So when you look at all that, the fuel moisture of those larger trees is less than if you went to Home Depot or to the local hardware store and bought a 2x4. That kind of puts it in perspective how dry it is. And we've had embers that have been flying a quarter mile or farther away. So if one of those trees, if you saw some of the earlier pictures there, that a tree just kind of starts punking away, and all of a sudden the wind picks up, an ember can fly. And is the FNet and the INET said here a couple of days ago, where it lands, there's 100% chance of ignition. You know, at that point, we'd like to have just about a 90% chance. So we got 10% cushion. We have no cushion. It is going to start a fire. So it's super volatile out there. What has happened is with that little bit of moisture we got, the cloud cover, the last few days has been great. It gave us an opportunity to get resources in because the local type 3 team, the local folks, and all the local volunteer firefighters and folks that attacked this and with from the different agencies, just a very small amount. And we had a hard time getting more resources. Now we've got almost 900 resources, folks in here with a lot of, we've got a lot of aviation, we've got heavy equipment, we've got crews, we've got engines, and then we've got the support personnel to help take care of this. As if you see just right here at the college. So the opportunity for us to be set up for success. Now, Mother Nature, it's going to be hot, it's going to be dry. Relative humidity is going to be there, we're going to get windy. So we're going to get tested. But we've had the chance to really get some things in place. So we think it's about to be pretty successful. And you've got really skilled firefighters that are out there to do the job. So we appreciate you inviting us in. You know, it's probably we really like to see our tail lights heading out of town. So it's not, get back to normal, but we're going to stay here for, we probably will have another team that'll come in behind us that will do the same thing, that will continue the work that we've done and what was started by all the locals when it first initial attacked this. But this is just going to be continuations to get this into a condition where it's safe. Jason talked about those snags. They're terrible. We took a drive up there 2 days ago. And this burned out timber. And it doesn't take, it's fire weekend and it doesn't take much wind at all. And those things come down. So when we're gone and when the thrill comes up there, you're going to see it. That's going to take it down. When you get a good windstorm, it's going to take it down. The thing I want to impress is that when we're gone and the smoke is gone and you're recreating up there, please be careful. Snags kill people every year. And these are fire weekend and it's going to be even worse. And you'll see some pictures and the whole inside has been burned out. And it's just a little bit that's hanging there. So that'll be the big thing is that as you move forward, recreate up in this area, just be really cautious because nothing's worth anybody's life. So thanks again for all your support. Really appreciate the graciousness of the community for letting us come in and try to take care of this. We're going to do our best that we absolutely can for you with all the research that we got. We're going to do it safely. And our goal, of course, is get you back in there and get things taken care of. So thanks again, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brett. Once again, my name is Thomas Pence, Public Information. We're going to open up the floor to some questions from the audience and online. With that, if you raise your hand, you can get started.
First of all, thank you. You're our prayers and our thoughts every day. I want to concentrate on the Bagley Ranch area since I'm sitting next to a Bagley Rancher. We have there are three cabins there. We have a trail cam and we watch you daily. We've seen more activity there today than any other day with the pumpkins set out and the sprinkler lines going in. My question is, should that make us more nervous or less nervous as we watch you on your trail cams?
You said Bagley Ranch Trail.
Yeah, one of the three cabins in Bagley Ranch.
Okay. So you did see some more activity in there the last few days. The reason for that is the firing operation that I explained that we did yesterday went right by Bagley Ranch. Right? So we wanted to get everything set in there, making sure everything was solid before we lit that up. And then today, you're seeing a lot of people in there. What they're doing is they're in there doing what we call gridding. So they're in there looking for any spots that may have flown across our line yesterday or this morning. So I would say, to answer your question, should you be more nervous? I would say you should be less nervous now. I mean, we can never guarantee, like we're at the whim of Mother Nature, just like the IC said. But we're feeling more comfortable about Bagley Ranch. But the reason you saw us in there doing all that was to prepare for the firing. And now that it's gone through there, we're going through there, making sure that, you know, there's no other spots or anything popping up that we haven't seen. So as of now, you're in a better position than you've been at any point in time.
Thank you. We've always wanted a sprinkler system up there, so you don't want to remove it.
I just was listening to both Vince and Jason, the coordination between the Forest Service and the DNR, where one may have not an agenda, but a thought, well, you know, you have a tag and you maybe missed the 30-day, and the other says, no, we don't want you in the forest, you know, this whole year till next year. So that, you know, those two agencies are on the same page, so that these people are taken care of the correct way with a refund or a tag next year, some way, somehow. Because I don't want them contradicting each other. I think that could create some whatever coordination those two agencies can have. I think that'd be a great asset.
We agree.
You mind speaking again? The area, when you were pointing to the map, it talked about 30 to 35, and then up around more to the north. Well, I'm actually curious, if I take right there where that says NAP, are you trying to keep it straight to the north? Are you trying to keep it to the west side of that? Is that what you're?
Basically, well, in that general area up there, we're grabbing it at Roe Creek, and then you know where all those fuel treatments are, that Bagley and that Tenderfoot Ridge. Our line would be west side of those, all the way up through Magleby, and then the meadow that's up north of Magleby.
Are you talking signal?
Into just the sage that's up there.
Okay.
So they steers it around Magleby. And if we have a big head of fire still, you know,
To where you have another line that's up there on another Signal Peak, right, heading towards the east.
kind of up more by Big Lake.
Yeah.
Up in there, there's
Fuel treatments and other things up there that can help kind of slow it down.
Got it.
right. So we're just kind of steering it around there in the event that it does come out of this South Fork of the Monroe Creek and moves north.
Thank you.
Is that on the west side or east side of the fuel treatments, Brian?
What's that?
The line?
The line will be right on the west side of those fuel treatments. Right kind of on the line. I mean, we're just kind of following those fuel treatments up. So.
We have a question online.
Yeah, this is gonna be a question for the wildlife representative. I'm speaking like that. Everybody's speaking that. It's a what if situation.
Sure.
So we'll see how close you can get. This one might be hard to answer. What percentage of the mountain would have to be impacted, whether it's road closures or loss of access, by this fire before it will prompt your shutting all of us down?
Good question. So we don't have any protocol with that, what percentage, right? And so, in fact, that was a discussion I'm going to hold with some of our Forest Service personnel after this meeting is go over some ideas on what, if conditions allow, if we could open up this part of the mountain and this part of the mountain, that hunters would have adequate access to the country, to the wildlife, that they could have a good hunt. And so I don't have an answer for that exact thing, but as it sits right now, there's definitely not a lot of access, at least for our archery hunters in August. So I don't have an exact answer, but that will be something that we discussed with our firefighting personnel. It's the best I can give right now.
All right, thank you. Any more questions from the audience here? All right, with that, we'll be around to answer any additional questions you have for the remainder of the meeting. We'll go ahead and end our online portion now. Thank you.